Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex, here with my monthly video on the best games coming to retail. First of all, happy holidays! It's pretty obvious right now when I'm filming this. I hope you're getting a great chance to hang out with some family and some friends during the holiday season. I hope you're playing games with them. I hope this is a chance. You get a chance to make gamers out of your family. Take that chance. Force them to play games. I don't care how you get them to play games. They're gonna play some games during this season. Normally, December is a quiet month for retail releases because people have already sort of made their purchases, but this year, not normal. We got a lot of retail releases, the most I've ever seen of any December. So if you're looking for some new hotness, you got a chance to get it. There's a lot of great stuff. These are the best games coming to retail in December 2022. A Porta Games is releasing to retail Revive. Now, they did say to me that this one is hitting retail either late December or early January. They're hoping for late December, but it could push into early January. So if you don't see it, right now, it's coming very soon. Revive is a Euro game, a pretty, medium-heavy Euro game about reviving civilization. It is 5,000 years after civilization collapsed, and you are trying to revive civilization. I will say, I saw this in the Hot Games room at BGG-Con in November, and it was multiple people I talked to's favorite game in the Hot Games room. The Hot Games room is a lot of the Essen releases. Essen happens in October in Germany, and so these are a lot of the games that really haven't had a release yet in North America, but BGG brings them over and people get a chance to play them there at the convention. And a bunch of people I knew were like, this was the game of the convention for me. This is the game I liked the most. And so if that means anything to you, check it out. It is a game for 1 to 4 players that plays in 90 to 120 minutes. Players get asymmetric player powers, there's a highly variable setup, and there's no fighting or direct conflict. So if you don't want to, have a ton of player interaction, this is a good one to check out for you. There is a campaign element of the game, and I've heard from everybody, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to worry about the campaign stuff. So that's not really a selling point for it. But it is a Euro game with a bunch of different stuff going on. It looks pretty cool on the table. I like the artwork style of it. So that is Revive. Asmodee Games is releasing One Deck Galaxy. Now, this is a publisher that's famous for its game One Deck Dungeon, and this is not a sequel or a prequel or anything like that, not an expansion. This is a standalone game, and the only similarity is that they are both small box games, and they both play 1 to 2 players in a cooperative format. So if you're looking for a 2-player cooperative game, this is a good one. You are cleverly using your dice to build a federation here. In One Deck Dungeon, you're fighting your way through bad guys. Well, this one is you're revealing cards, and each card in the deck represents both a location in space your civilization has scouted, but also the benefits it could reap by colonizing or studying it. There will be some foes and things going on that you have to beat and stuff like that, but it is set in space. I love space games, so this one definitely excites me there. Plays in about 30 to 60 minutes. Funforge with Asmodee is releasing Namijii. Namijii? I think Namijii. That's what I'm going to go with. This is sort of a re-implementation of Tokaido. It is, not the same game and stuff like that, so it is a different game, but it takes some of the ideas of Tokaido and puts it in a new game. 2 to 5 players, plays in 30 to 45 minutes. In Tokaido, you're moving along a road. Well, in this, you play as fishers from the Japan of yesteryear, navigating south of the Japanese archipelago. So instead of being on a road, you are in the sea. You are in the ocean. You are deciding whether to move forward quicker on the pathway to get the best benefits that you want, or if you move slower, you're going to get more turns. So that's the main sort of decision of the game. Do you want to race forward and get some benefits before anybody else gets them? Or do you want to move slower and get more turns? So that is similar to Tokaido, but the benefits, what you're doing on the track, differs in this game. It is a different set of benefits and actions and stuff like that along the track that you're moving forward on. So that is Namijii. All right. We have Asmodee in association with Ludonate is releasing Precognition. This is a 2 to 4 player, 60-minute game. So the thing that this does differently is they say they call it the dual select system. It is a new card drafting mechanism. So in the game, you are going to have 2 cards passed to you from the player next to you. And you are having those 2 cards, and then you're adding 2 cards from your deck. And then you're picking 2 cards out of that to play. But then you're passing cards back to the player that passed you cards. So the reason it's called Precognition is you know that you're going to get 2 cards from your opponent, and you're going to pass one of those back. So you know that one thing you're going to get on your turn. You're going to get one of 2 cards back from the other player. So you are doing Precognition. You're trying to predict which of those 2 cards you're going to get back so that you can sort of plan out future turns with that card in mind. Now, it does make for some luck in the game because you might not get the card back that you want. You might not get, and then you have to rethink your turn. But card drafting, hand management, all that sort of stuff is something we've seen in games a lot before. And so this is trying to do something new in that, which I really respect. It's hard to do new things in board games, and so I really respect that they're trying to do something new here. So yeah, every round has 3 distinct phases. That decision phase where you're drawing and choosing cards according to the dual select system. The action phase where you're activating your cards to use resources. And then the maintenance phase when you're managing your banes if you have suffered any, and heal all possible contaminated humans and move forward on the Great River. So this is another, post-apocalyptic game, but it seems like we have a decent amount of those this month. So if you like card drafting and you want a new way to do it, check out Precognition. Asmodee, in association with Ludonova, is releasing Airmail. So this is a historical type of game. In 1925, the U.S. Congress passes a new Airmail Act, and now you're playing as one of these new airmail companies. You are trying to deliver the most mail, take the most contracts, all that sort of stuff. So it's that pick up and deliver, fulfill contracts sort of thing, but set in old time space, old time flight and that sort of stuff. So you will get more points if you can deliver packages a greater distance, but that's also harder to accomplish. It's harder to do. So, this has like that old school feel to it, right? The planes, there's little plane minis that look pretty cool. I like that about it. So, do you want to be an aviation tycoon? Now's your chance. First ever mail service. Asmodee, in association with Libelud, is releasing Mysterium Kids. So Mysterium is a game I love, where one person plays as a ghost and other people are trying to figure out the who, the what, and the where of how they died. But they're doing it with these like beautiful Dixit cards. This turns Mysterium into something that is playable for 6-year-olds and up. And so the way it does that is you are helping a ghost figure out things, just like Mysterium, but the ghost changes every round, so it's not one person playing as a ghost the whole time. And in this version, you're communicating not with these sort of esoteric and beautiful artwork cards. You're communicating by making sounds on a little tambourine drum. So, maybe a card, you're trying to indicate a card that has a water spout, like for watering plants, right? I don't know what you call that. I don't water plants. I don't own things that are alive. I travel too much. But, you are trying to indicate that, so maybe you pitter patter on the drum so it makes the sound of like droplets of rain. Or maybe, there is a chalkboard and you run one finger across the drum to indicate fingernails on a chalkboard, things like that. So you're still trying to communicate with people with limited information and point them to a specific artwork card, but you're doing it by making sounds on a drum. So that's pretty fun and makes it really accessible for kids. I think that kids will really enjoy banging on the drum, trying to think about what sounds the drum makes, that sort of stuff. So that is a 2 to 6 player game, plays in 20 minutes. Format Games, along with Asmodee, is releasing the party game Karen. So this is, based on the internet idea of Karens who can't let things go and get in your face and are just, annoying citizens that are complaining all the time. So in this game, a bunch of people are going to write down fake reviews, fake 1-star reviews, and then you have to guess which one is the real review and which ones are the fake reviews, the fake answers, and that sort of stuff. So, there are going to be different ways to like do reviews. Sometimes it's fill in the blanks. Sometimes it's writing a full thing. If you can pick out the real answer, you'll get points. And then if your fake answer gets votes, then you'll also get points. So if you want a party game based on the whole Karen phenomenon, boy, I feel bad for actual people named Karen now. That wasn't a thing when they were named 20, 30, 40 years ago. And now every time someone's like, hey, I'm Karen, you're like, I bet you're Karen. It's immediately skeptical of anybody named Karen. I feel bad. All right, next up we have Birdwood Games is releasing Dog Park to retail. This is a game about walking dogs. So that's something that we can easily relate to. I'm a dog person myself. I love dogs. I grew up with dogs all the time. And so this is a very, pretty game. It's a medium weight game. Plays 1 to 4 players over about an hour. And there is a bidding aspect to trying to get dogs to add to your kennel. And one of the interesting things is to bid, you're giving up victory points. So there's a real decision of how badly do I actually want this dog to walk? Am I willing to give up more victory points for that? And so, auction bidding for dogs, and then you're going to be actually walking them and getting, you need some certain resources to be able to walk them, and then you're going to get certain resources along the walk to then be used in future walks, that sort of stuff. So you got to choose your route carefully and you choose your dogs carefully to earn reputation and prove that you're the most accomplished dog walker. So the artwork in this is also very pretty. If you're a fan of dogs, a lot of dogs in the game, you might guess that by a game named Dog Walker. There are lots of dogs in it. Capstone Games is releasing Rise. This game is like Tracks, the board games. If you like moving up tracks and then getting benefits as you move up to help you move up other tracks, then this is your wheelhouse. There are literally 10 different tracks you can move up in this game. So that's why I say it's Tracks, the board game. It is very fun. I think it's very fun to get these, benefits that lead to other benefits, that, those cascading combos and stuff make games very satisfying. And Rise is all about that. It's a 2 to 4 player game that plays in 60 minutes. Thematically, you are assuming responsibility for the economic and social development of a city. So you're trying to grow a city. But, tracks, that's the theme. The theme is tracks. So, yeah, I guess they have some thematic tie-in, but you're not going to feel that much. You're going to feel the tracks, dude. It's all about the tracks. How many times can I say tracks in this portion of the video? At least one more. tracks. All right, Cyanide and Happiness is releasing the game Master Dater. This is a party game, and I want to note that this hits Amazon in December, but it will actually hit retail stores in January. So available on Amazon now, but if you prefer to buy through your friendly local game store, all you have to do is wait till January, and then it's going to be there. Cyanide and Happiness is known for their game Joking Hazard and Trial by Trolley, and this slots right into those types of games. Just a silly, fun party game, but a silly, fun party game that allows you some agency over the creativity. You get to add the jokes, you get to add some of the fun to the game, which I really like. In the game, one person plays as the sexy single, and they are revealing some cards of things they're looking for. And then you get to play heads and bodies and justify why you are their dream person, why you are their dream date. You know, so they might say something like, I'm looking for somebody that plays hard to get. And then you play a card that has a face popping out of a trench coat, and you're like, look, I hide in trench coats all the time. I'm hard to get. I'm hard to see. I'm hard to see. That's why you should pick me. And then the person, the dater person, gets to pick which justification of which cards they like the most. One of the cool things, though, is you don't just have to pick one person. You can be like, you know what, I want your head and I want your body because I like the reason that you guys both said for that. So multiple people can get points on a round. Days of Wonder is releasing Heat, Pedal to the Metal. This is a game that is hitting a lot of top 10 games of the year videos right now. So this is a time of year where a lot of people are releasing their top 10 best games of the year. I'll be releasing one of those videos soon, actually. I've already recorded it, and boy, it's juicy, I'll tell you. So Heat is on a lot of those videos right now. So I haven't had a chance to play it myself, but it is a racing game in the mold of a Downforce or something like Flamme Rouge, something like that. So if you like racing games, this has already moved into the top 1,000 on BGG, and it just came out. So this is a 1 to 6 player game, plays in 30 to 60 minutes. You are the driver of the race car, and so you're playing cards to move forward on the racetrack, but then there's also heat cards that are going to make your engine overheat, so you have to manage those throughout the game, and you really have to play cards. You have to take into account the turns in the track. You know, you want to slow down when you're hitting a turn, so it's very hand management racing game where you're trying to win a race as an actual race car, and there's cool race car minis in the game and that sort of stuff. So if you're into hype, this one has a lot of hype right now and is worth checking out for sure. Garfield Games is releasing Wayfarers of the South Tigris. And so this is from designers and publishers that have done multiple series of games. We have the West Kingdom series, we have the North Sea series. This is the first game in a new planned trilogy. So if you like these, and it's interesting because the games in their trilogies are sort of set in the same world, but definitely are not the same game. They play very differently, and they even have sort of different themes in that world. So this kicks off a new trilogy. This is a heavyweight Euro game with a lot going on. So if you are looking for a big Euro game, this is a good one. And I think these designers are really good. In this game, thematically, the aim is to be the player with the most victory points, and points are primarily gained by mapping the land, water, and sky. So you're going to be moving around, mapping stuff, and you can upgrade your caravans, you can gain inspiration from nobles, you can influence the guilds of science, trade, and exploration. So again, a lot going on, worth checking out. That is Wayfarers of the South Tigris. Gale Force 9 is releasing Enola Holmes, Finder of Lost Souls. So this is based on the Millie Bobby Brown Netflix videos. There are 2 of these films on Enola Holmes, which is essentially Sherlock Holmes's little sister, and she's also a good detective. And so that's this game. It is a one versus many game. One person plays as the criminal, and they are hatching a sinister plan to abduct their victim and leaving puzzling clues in their wake. And then the other players all play as detectives, working together to solve the puzzles, reveal clues, and figure out who done it. So if you're a fan of whodunit games, and they do note that this is a replayable game, the combinations of clues and crime will change with each game, so it is not a one-time play, then you're done with it. This game is replayable. So if you like deduction games, if you like figuring out puzzles, Enola Holmes is that. And it also features a lot of like the frames from the movie. So if you're a fan of movie, this is like all, photos from the movies are in the game and that sort of stuff. So if you're a fan of the movies, this is your chance to really check that out. Good Games Publishing is releasing Too Many Cooks. This is a cooperative real-time game. So there is a tableau of ingredients, and every player has something they want. They're like, I want only mushrooms to be in this column, or I want no mushrooms to be in this column, or I want a red mushroom. Whatever it is, everybody has their own information. And on your turn, you can change a card in the tableau, and that is either going to help the situation or hurt the situation because everybody else has their own needs and wants in the game. You cannot communicate specifically what you want. You can't say, I need a red mushroom in this row, but when somebody changes something, you can be like, I find that disgusting. That is gross that you did that. You put an onion in that row? Gross. I don't want onions here. And so you are trying to figure out in real time what is everybody wants. You get there are three rounds, and I think each round is 5 minutes. So, it's a real, you got to take your turns quickly. You're changing something in a row. How does people feel about that? Okay. And then you're really trying to figure it out together. There is multiple levels of difficulty, so you can play an easy, a medium, or a hard game, which I like, based on the amount of hidden information and that sort of stuff. So if you like real-time cooperative games, this is a fun one. Plays 2 to 6 players and plays in 20 minutes. Hachette Games is releasing Movie Mind to retail this month. So this game is sort of all about the cool artwork cards. You are revealing an artwork card, and it's got art from all different movies in it. It is a real jumble of stuff, and you are trying to pick out the different movies represented on the in the card, and you're doing it by, the game is played with 3 teams. You need one team sort of reading a question to one group and then reading a question to another group. And so you're trying to answer these questions. So the questions refer to something in the artwork that refers to a specific movie. So you're trying to figure out the movies in the artwork cards based on the questions that are asked. So if you're a big movie buff, I feel like this is a game for you. It plays 2 to 9 players in 30 minutes. Definitely a party game based on movies. So that is Movie Mind. Hachette Games is also releasing Critical Foundation Season 1. This is a role-playing game with board game elements to it. They designed it specifically to feel like a TV show season. Every session that you play over the campaign is an episode, a 30-minute episode of the TV show. So you are revealing information, revealing story along the way. And I don't cover a lot of, I don't cover role-playing games in this. This is mostly focused on board games and card games, but there are board game elements to this game. There is, they call it an RPG-style experience with board gaming scaffolding with character cards and dice-based combat. So, a lot of campaign games are big and epic and take a lot of time and effort and commitment. Well, this is a campaign game where, again, the sessions are 30 minutes and there's 9 of those sessions. So a lot more manageable. If you want a campaign game that won't, take over your life, then Critical Foundation feels like, an appropriate one for you. And it is also set in the future, so, in that sense, it's got a cool storyline, a cool theme. It is 2035, and huge multinational corporations have taken over, and nanotechnologies are a part of everyday life. And so, set in that world, reveal story as you go. Leader Games is releasing to retail Ahoy. Leader is known for their big asymmetric games like Root and Oath. Well, Ahoy is their attempt at making a asymmetric game that is much easier to get into, that is much easier to teach to people and easier to play. So, this is an asymmetric game you can play with casual gamers, that sort of stuff. Now, it's definitely, it's not like, hey, play with somebody that you've never played a game with before. There's still, like, strategy and choices and a lot of stuff going on. It's just not as much of a heavy lift as something like Root. In the game, some people are playing pick up and deliver, and some people are playing area control. So, that's where it's not just like asymmetric player powers. It's an asymmetric game in that you are playing different games while you play. It's a 2 to 4 player game, but I've heard from multiple people that it really sings at 4 players. That's the best player count because then everybody else is doing something and it feels the most balanced and stuff like that. It is a pirate-themed game, so I love a good pirate theme. So you are on the high seas doing stuff out there, like, getting loot and fighting to claim land and all that sort of, piratey stuff. You're doing piratey stuff. What? In a pirate game, you're doing piratey stuff? Yes. So again, though, the reason you're going to check this out is you want an asymmetric game that's not as much of a heavy lift as some of the other asymmetric games out there. Renegade Game Studios is releasing the solo game Wreckland Run. So this is another post-apocalyptic game set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland filled with marauders and other dangers. And it's a campaign game consisting of 7 chapters. And with each new chapter, the story will unfold in the campaign book, and you'll be getting, there'll be new bosses, new enemies, new gameplay twists, stuff like that. So again, this is a solo-only game, but, hidden information here. If it's a solo game, you can also probably play it with 2 people cooperatively. So, if you're looking for a good solo game, this is a 30 to 45 minutes per session. And again, there are 7 sessions in the game. And so if you like the idea of unfolding a chapter, by yourself or with one other person, this is a good one. Plus you're like upgrading your vehicles and stuff like that. It's that cool, like post-apocalyptic, like we're going to turn this, old trash truck into like a huge weapon vehicle, just kind of that Mad Maxy theme, which I like. So that's Wreckland Run does that well. Renegade Game Studios is also releasing Artisans of Splendent Vale. This was a pretty big Kickstarter and now is having its retail release. This is a cooperative adventure game, and it is a sort of choose-your-own-adventure style game. There is a book and you are choosing story as you go along. Do you want to do this or do you want to do this? Somebody says this to you, how are you going to respond? And the way you choose to respond or the action you choose to take then changes the story and branches it into different pathways. And so you are choosing your own adventure and moving down that and revealing story as you go. The art is really gorgeous in this game, and it's set in a magical and unique land. You play as a troupe of artisans exploring the beauty of the Splendent Vale while honing your individual crafts. So you're going to have to overcome challenges, You're going to have to do a bunch of stuff, but you are building the story as you go, and so I really like that about it. And, you know, it's a cooperative game, so you're deciding together. Even though it's one person's turn, something like that, you know, you're still deciding together how you want the story to unfold. And it requires a lot of teamwork and careful strategy as you're making those decisions. Next up, we have Rio Grande Games is releasing Woodcraft. This is a month with a bunch of heavy Euros on it. It seems like more than some of the other months I do. So this is another heavy Euro game. You are playing as these forest people, these kind of little forest people, and you are running competing workshops in the woods. So it is a dice manipulation game, and one of the cool things are, you know, you can cut the wood, which essentially means you're cutting a dice into two, and so if it was 5 pips, you can make it into 2 dice of 2 and 3 pips. But you can also glue dice together, so you can take a 2 and a 3 and glue it together and make 1 5. So you are manipulating your dice in different ways like that, which is the thing that attracts me the most to this game. Plus, you know, it's got cool artwork. I like that as well. But this is, you know, one of those Euro games through and through where there are a lot of things going on, a lot of different options, a lot of ways to score points. So there will be a lot of replayability in this game because you can really adopt different strategies over subsequent plays. You can try different things when you're playing the game. And so if you like, you know, that sort of stuff, a heavy Euro, this was another one I saw in the BGG Hot Games room, was an Essen release that is now coming over here. But, you know, another game that got some good attention in that Hot Games room and seemed like people really liked. So check that out, Woodcraft. Queen Games is releasing to retail Dragonquest. They call this a brutal and intense roll and write. And part of the reason it is brutal is that there is player elimination in the game. So you can have bad rolls and get yourself killed. It is a push your luck game, though. So, you know, if you're getting bad rolls, it's kind of on yourself for dying too, because you can stop and stay alive, or you can push your luck. But if you get 3 of the things you don't want, you gone, dog, all right? And so if you run out of your life points, you die and you are out of the game. Now, the game only takes 30 to 40 minutes, so the player elimination is, you know, it's not like you're waiting around for hours if you are doing. However, I did talk to Queen Games, and, you know, most of the time, most people are in the game the whole time. I did hear one story of a person that just got terrible rolls the first turn and died in the first turn of the game. Thematically, you are exploring ruins and trying to reach the treasure chamber in the center of a dungeon and escape alive with as much treasure as possible. So how much luck do you want to push? How much treasure are you trying to get? You know, I love a good push your luck dice rolling game, so I'm excited to check out Dragonquest. And, you know, I'm also okay with brutal sometimes. If I'm in the right mood, I'm okay with player elimination. So, next up, we have the original Sasquatch Studios is releasing CATastrophe, a game of 9 lives. One of the things that makes this game stand out is it features artwork of famous internet cats. So if you're a fan of like Lil Bub, well, Lil Bub is in this game. You have a chance to play Lil Bub in a game. This is another game where there is chaotic mayhem and your goal is to survive. You got 9 cat lives and you gotta, whoever can stay alive the longest wins the game. You are trying to be the last of the people to lose your 9 lives. So, you know, it says 1 second you're slapping down attack and curiosity cards, the next you're rolling die and playing fun catastrophic mini games to determine your destiny. So it's a 2 to 6 player game, plays in 30 to 45 minutes. Stay alive as long as you can. It's an all-out, claws-out kind of game. I think that's fun. Trick or Treat Studios is releasing to retail Shadowgate, The Living Castle. This is based on the video game Shadowgate that came out in 2014. This is the board game version of that. And in the game, you're exploring Shadowgate, which is the living castle, and you are discovering relics and spells and completing legendary quests. Players can choose between 8 characters that have their own unique class, traits, and abilities, and then use these characters to compete for experience points. So it is a semi-cooperative game because you are exploring the castle and you will together have to defeat things that come along the way and overcome obstacles and stuff like that. But only one person is gonna get the most experience points, and that person wins the game. So you want to work together to beat stuff, but you also kind of want other people to get beat up during battles more than you do. And so I think that's a fun time. You know, I think semi-cooperative is a hard thing to do well, but when it is done well, it is very exciting and fun and cool. And this one feels like, I'm hoping that this one can be a really good semi-cooperative game because I love it when it's done right. And so, you know, and plus if you like an exploration game, it's 2 to 4 players, plays in 30 to 60 minutes. So yeah, that's Shadowgate, the Living Castle. And then last we have Featherlight from WizKids. This is a small box card game, and the interesting thing of the game is you will have cards in your hand and then cards in the nest. And what's in the nest is going to determine what scores points in your hand. So for instance, like there is one thing that'll say it scores points if there's an even amount. And so you're trying to get an even amount of those cards in the nest, but maybe the next player comes along and plays one of those cards and you're like, dang it, I wanted 4 cards, not 5. Why did you play another one in there? And so you're trying to change the cards in the nest to then score the cards in your hand. And, you know, again, a small box game. It's very pretty artwork, and it's a fun theme. You are Polly the Putu bird has fallen out of his nest, and his feathers have scattered everywhere, and so you're trying to gather the feathers back together. So it's very pretty artwork. The feathers are bright and vibrant and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a quick little 1 to 4 player card game, plays in 15 to 30 minutes. So that's what I got for you this month. You know, this video takes me a lot of work with a lot of the research and stuff like that. I gotta be reaching out to literally hundreds of publishers and doing research on the games and talking to people and stuff. So if you want to support this video and the things that I do have a Patreon, and one of the tiers on the Patreon is that you can get information on other games releasing to retail every month. I try to limit this video to about 25 games just to keep it to a manageable time and a manageable information load, but there's always more than that comes out every month to retail. So if you want to check out my Patreon, you can see some other games coming out to retail as well. But mostly I just hope that you have a great holiday season, that you enjoy playing with your friends and family. I hope maybe you get a game for Christmas or for New Year's or for whatever holiday you celebrate. I hope that you get a good game and you get to play with fun people. So thanks so much for joining me. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.